What's up, y'all? It's your boy Niner Faithful.
What's up, everybody? It's Adam from 49ers Insiders.
And we thank you, everybody, for tuning in this week. It is here. It is finally here. Hallelujah. Praise Jesus. All the empires say amen. Oh, we are officially into training camp, y'all. I just came back from training camp today. That's why your boy looks a little bit more jacked and tanned. You feel me? But I just came from training camp today. I mean, let's be realistic. Paths don't come on tomorrow, so it was just basically a glorified OTA practice. But, you know, there were some interesting – hey, we're easing our way in. There were some interesting things still to take away from today. So we're going to go ahead and get started on that today. I actually didn't look up the Twitter poll. I didn't get a chance to do it before I came from practice. I literally left practice, came straight here. I was inches away from getting Jimmy G. Cool's autograph. Like Jimmy kind of kept people in suspense. It was funny because the way for those who have, we'll jump into Niner Ball after this, but for those who have never been at training camp, they have us general population, us poor people. They can't afford VIP tickets. They have us kind of on the far sideline. And so we're the opposite field from where the offense warms up. I purposely think that they do that. They have the offense warm up and practice most of the time facing the VIP section. I think they do that on purpose. But so Jimmy was running sprints and stuff, and it kept on looking like he was going to run to do autographs, and then he'd turn around and, you would see him laugh and kind of pump up the crowd and stuff like that. And so he ran up and kind of looked like he was going to turn around to do a sprint and kind of stood there and kind of was like, like that and everything like that. Everybody, Jimmy. And so he ran it and he did autographs. And he literally was like maybe the next person over for me. And I stuck out a business card like, Jimmy, because literally normally they give away stuff for you to get autographed. Like, they'll give away roster cards or something like that. They didn't give away anything. So I literally held out a business card, was like, Jimmy. And like, man, maybe like he was probably going to grab my next, and he turned around and left. Killer Corn, like I didn't even attempt that, bro. Like there was like, he was out there, bro, I want to say a good 20 minutes, and there were still plenty of people that didn't get autographs. Yeah. I mean, it was crazy. Sherm was out there, but for our normal super duper moderator, Kim is going to be talking to y'all. We got a special plug for y'all that we're going to do for all our regulars that listen to the show live every week. We got a special treat. We got Adam and a kilo autograph on a business card, so we're going to go ahead and get that to Adam. I told him, I said, I was like, a kilo. I said, bro, it's on my business card. I said, my co-host is a huge fan of yours. I was like, he goes, yeah. And I go, yeah. And he grabs it and he goes, all right, I got you. He signed a couple more autographs. He goes, hey, where's that business card at? So I stuck out the business card and he autographed it and everything. And I go, hey, man, my co-host is going to be super pumped. He couldn't make it down from San Diego. And he goes, yeah. He goes, all right, bro. He goes, thank you. And kind of like, went off to sign.
I almost want you to keep it, my dude. I mean, you're the one that did all the work on everything. Maybe we can one day we can take a picture with them and we'll frame that puppy up with the business card in there or something awesome.
No, you know what?
But, go ahead. You hold on to that, my man. But I appreciate the shout out.
How about we'll do this? If anybody doesn't comment on the video and says they want a Kello Witherspoon autograph, we'll go ahead and get it to you. If not, bro, go ahead and keep it. Like all these autographs, bro. I was telling a lot of the kids, of course, let the little kids go ahead of me and everything. And I was telling the parents, talking to the parents, I was like, bro, it's not like this is Jerry, Joe, or Steve, or Ronnie, or Merton Hanks, or anybody like that, bro. It's like, look, bro, like 90% of these, 47 of these players aren't even going to be on the roster. Or, 37 of these players aren't even going to be on a roster in 6 weeks. I was like, yeah, we all want Jimmy. We all want, Defo or whatever. I mean, I'm not going to turn down any autograph.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, bro, come on, bro. Then I'm not worried about this, bro. Give it to the kids. Give it to fans.
Exactly.
Now, I'm not worried about it. The coolest moment of camp for me, though, was by the way, George Kittle loves the George Kittle MVP of the Week award. I got him to give me a thumbs up when I told him about that. So we're going to bring that back. Training camp or preseason, we're going to go ahead and bring back the George Kittle MVP of the Week award.
Nice.
And he's down for the home opener being National Tight End Day.
All right.
Did happen that?
I have one question for you though. Did you happen to ask Jimmy how Kiara Mia is doing by the chance?
No, I didn't. You know what? I'm gonna ask him. That. I'll ask him that tomorrow.
Please do it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's gonna
I
check
hope he has a nice little reaction. Try to record.
Sure.
Try to record it. That way everyone can see his reaction. I'm sure he's gonna smile.
That's what I'm trying to do. We'll kind of judge it. It seems to be that the best positioning for autographs is not the best positioning to watch camp. so we'll kind of get it. Sherm, I was able to get kind of close to Sherm, and I said, hey, I picked Sweet 6 to beat Seattle and Seattle this year to clinch the division, and he nodded and got a big smile. So Sherm's looking for some pick sixes this year. I got D4 to give me a chest bump like this because I was like, D, welcome to the family, baby. You're my birthday twin, March 19th. And he was like, and I said, Pisces, baby. And he pointed to his Pisces tat. So that was pretty cool. So I hope that if D Ford comes out, not because not everybody, Jimmy, Richard Sherman, Dante Johnson, Fred Warner, George Kittle, and Dante Pettis were the only ones that came out for autographs. So barely anybody came out for autographs.
Yeah, back at it. Are we giving him a possible chance to kind of sneak his way in?
No, he's got a 48. His number kind of says it all. Like, bro, they give you 48. Because we all know at training camp they do double numbers. So no.
Oh, really? I haven't seen anybody. I looked at the 49ers roster today. I looked at all the numbers. I don't even think anything popped off the screen, but I did notice Dante Johnson was number 48. I think he could be a guy that gets cut, and God forbid there's an injury. You could be the guy that you just pretty much call up, you're pretty much ready to go. Stay ready. I think it's going to be the same thing with Niles Paul. Did you happen to look at him by chance?
No, I didn't. Dwelly looked nice. Ross Dwelly was, and he lined up some snaps with the ones too, which
I think people are definitely sleeping on Dwelly. Myself a little bit. As we know, he's a great pass catcher, and I'm sure he's been working out nonstop, literally to get stronger and improving on his actual pass blocking. But myself included, I think people are sleeping on him. I didn't hear. Obviously, did you happen to see Levine Toilolo, Caden Smith at all by chance? I didn't hear. I haven't heard really any noise about tight end either.
I saw him at practice. I saw them at practice, but I didn't see.
I'm sure Levine stood out, right? The dude is like freaking 6'7".
Oh, bro, he's huge. You know who's a lot bigger than I thought? Kentavious Street. Kentavious Street is a big boy. When I saw him
hitting the sled, looks.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up stealing like the number 2 nose tackle spot if. You know what I mean? Someone like Day, as we talked about, the last defensive line spot might come down to actually Julian Taylor and possibly Sheldon Day, in my opinion, because there's 8 locks essentially in front of them. One of them being Kentavious Street, but I wouldn't be surprised with his strength. I don't see why he possibly couldn't be able to play backup nose tackle, in my opinion. So it'll be interesting for sure. Demontre Moore seems like he's pretty damn motivated. He looks pretty damn solid to me.
He looked nice.
Zurich is working with them a little close by. Yesterday I was like, is this coincidence? Solomon Thomas, right after was Nick Bosa, if I'm not mistaken, then Demontre Moore consecutively were right next to Zurich on the sled. I wonder if that was done purposely because he's trying to fire them up and get them motivated because it seems like Demontre Moore has an opportunity to make the roster as the number 4 edge, essentially after obviously D4, Nick Bosa. Ronald Blair's locked in as a number 3 edge, but I think Demontre Moore has a chance to earn that number 4. And if that's the case, I could possibly see someone like Sheldon Day and Julian Taylor not making the team, either trade, cut, stash, whatever.
That's very possible. A couple quick notes.
Why cut him when they weren't able to even really get a true evaluation of him and then bring him back? That's the only part that throws me off.
So a couple notes that I decided to take. Debo. So Sherm looked good. I'm not gonna lie. Sherm. I thought he was holding a little bit.
Is that a surprise?
No. And I kind of because there was somebody behind me that said he was like, "That's holding Sherm," and then Sherm turned and he went like this to his jersey, and Sherm kind of just was like, Kind of like,
I'll
hey,
never forget last year, Steve Smith, when on NFL, like, they go training camp live, whatever. But Steve Smith was doing, I don't know if you remember the interview with Richard Sherman, Marquise Goodwin.
Yeah.
And Steve Smith introduced Richard Sherman. Was like, we're here with Richard Holden Sherman. And Sherman was like, oh, man. Like, obviously, has his own too, but I thought that shit was hilarious. He's like, when'd you see, Richard Sherman was like, when'd you see me hold? He was like Steve Smith was looking at him like, when weren't you holding?
Yeah, exactly. No, I will give this though.
I kind of like it. They can only call shit so much when you're pretty much low key holding on. And we all know the first 5 yards you're allowed to do that shit. So sometimes you got to keep that. Are you going to call it at the 6 yard mark against Sherman?
I will say this. He locked up one. I remember I actually wrote this in my notes because I remember one particular snap. He locked up Dante Pettis. Now, I talked to a couple of people who saw the same rep I did, and they said Sherman was holding. I think they would have let him go because they were both grabbing and arm barring and, all the way down the, it was a slant. So they were arm barring and all that stuff. And so I think they might have let that one go. The one is another one I saw now, and this, I'm going to say he had an okay practice, was Debo. Debo he burnt Sherman. Not burnt deep down the field, but he put a little wiggle on the slant route, and Sherman wasn't within 3 yards of him. It was nice to see.
Now, sometimes the wide receivers are able to freestyle a little bit. So in the wide receiver match, usually the defense looks better, but I think a lot of the times too, the wide receivers are able to freestyle a little bit and they can look a little better. I also really love, it seems like Richard Sherman is definitely taking the big brother approach with Dante Pettis. Dante Pettis has that, I said this on Twitter earlier, he has kind of like that calm, like cool, chill bro type of mentality. And obviously he's an absolute baller still, but I think Richard Sherman knows how important Dante Pettis is to the offense, and us pretty much 49ers needing him to step up and be that legit number one. And we don't care exactly where he lines up every single time, but they need him to be the number one. And I think Richard Sherman is really pushing him once again, holding him and all that kind of shit, because we need him week one ready to pretty much be that dog and take things to another level. So I'm really like that. And I hope he holds him a lot, to be honest with you, because that's just only going to make him get better.
Yeah, and Shanahan great point, Adam, because Shanahan brought it up in his press conference. He says, I need him to step up in every way. We need Dante to
actually need him to be more be more of an asshole type of guy. And so, pretty much, let cornerbacks know that he's going to bring it on every single down. I hope he starts shit talking a little more too, because it only elevates your game, in my opinion.
So getting on to, I'll wrap up with Debo, though. Debo seemed to struggle against press. Eric Crocker saw it as well, and I feel that. So it's not to say Debo won't be ready or we made a mistake or anything.
You remember against who? Like, do the reps by chance?
I didn't see who. I know that he.
Sure, hard,
I didn't see it because the practice is going this way. We're facing this way. So, it's pretty hard to see jerseys and everything like that, but he looked nice when they had him, when they did their little special teams. But getting back to Feisty, I'm pretty sure everybody's seen it's all over Twitter, it's all over Facebook, all over everywhere. Jalen Hurd was in 2 fights. Now, I did not see the first one. This first one was apparently against Dante Johnson. The second one was Exum, and he put Exum on his ass. And it was downfield, and it was Shanahan. Of course, Shanahan said he didn't see it, so he'll watch it and say, "Hey, da 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 da." But
Exum is fighting for a spot, dude. So obviously, and Jalen Hurd obviously knows right now he's probably he's obviously fighting for freaking reps and a position to possibly be a top 4 wide receiver in 4 wide receiver sets, for example. Obviously, right now, you'd think Trent Taylor's probably the number 4 / number 3, whatever. I know everyone thinks he's an automatic lock to pretty much be the number 3, but once again, are you taking Dante Pettis or Marquise Goodwin / Debo Samuel, one of the 3? Are you taking them off the field in 3 wide receiver sets? So obviously, we'll see how that kind of goes. But yeah, Jalen Hurd, I love that shit, honestly, hearing about it. I think that shit is super over-exaggerated a little bit. Like I said, Exum is freaking fighting for a freaking 53 spot, and Jalen Hurd is letting it be known. He's pretty much already he is a big dog on campus already. Let's not deny that. 6'5", he's strong as hell. I love it. We need that.
Jalen Hurd showed up with the attitude of it's funny because, we've kind of, everybody, everybody in the crowd and every time, Debo caught a ball, that's my ball, punk. And the person who played the most like Debo was Jalen Hurd. I mean, Jalen Hurd clearly came in with the mentality of you're not going to push me around. I'm not your rookie that's going to come here quietly, keep my head down. Yes, sir. No, I'm here to make some noise. I'm in the league. I belong here. And I love it.
That's what we need.
I love it. I love it so much.
This isn't the time to be freaking trying to, even Bill Belichick at times, out of all people, when there's like little scuffles, he loves that shit. You'll see him smiling a little bit,
Shanahan
over-exaggerated. Like I said, shit's been going forever since beginning of football. Yeah. If you're not having a fight, I think honestly there's something wrong with your team, in my opinion.
Well, Shanahan said it's a thin line. I don't think Shanahan wants people throwing punches, but he definitely, in the press conference today, he definitely came because no, I want each other to piss each other off. He goes, that's the way football is. You know what I'm saying? He goes,
and he brought up the fact that he even said, if I find out pretty much that the reason why things got super physical is because Jalen Hurd is being too physical and downhill blocking, or down the field blocking, I should say. And he pretty much said, shame on them. And obviously he's going to review that and be able to tell exactly. But yeah, I could see that easily being a case. Hey, a rookie comes in, all of a sudden he's getting this physical on the second day. Yeah, that'd be a pretty of a pansy move, in my opinion, if they literally felt disrespected or felt like Jalen Hurd was out of line because he's being too physical.
Well, I mean, it's the point is he showed up with that dog. And you know what? I think that and to me, maybe that's what we're missing because Pierre Garçon was obviously supposed to be that, alpha, physical receiver. And, maybe that's what I feel we've been missing. And so if Jalen Hurd can be that, if Jalen Hurd can be our Anquan Bolden type, that physical receiver that's going to set the tone and everything like that, man, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Another person I want to bring up now, I didn't see it on the 11 on 11, but when they were doing a little O-line versus D-line, I kind of snuck over a little bit and everything before I got booted out. Bosa's looking good.
Oh, he's making
for a man who hasn't played football in a year, Bosa's looking real good.
I can't wait to not scratch that off the list. People, obviously all this shit talking. He's going to get hurt again. It's like his brother Joey last year and all this kind of nonsense. Hey, 2 days in a row. I see him wearing those compression sleeves on his legs. And obviously I like seeing that. Like he's trying to do everything. And obviously, making sure no stone is left unturned, hopefully, obviously not to get re-injured. But I love hearing, obviously, all the noise with him. I asked this question earlier. I said the 49ers defensive line, possibly. I said fair or foul. I think the 49ers, pretty much defensive line success as a whole is really going to depend on like a Nick Bosa and a Solomon Thomas. If those guys, let's give Solomon Thomas a shout out. God, I love his stance and his get off. It just looks amazing. And
he looks so much better.
Oh my God!
Just the aura around him. Just the aura around him at practice. I didn't see anything in particular. I will try to make a purpose to watch the D line and O line, especially since we got pads on. I mean, I kind of felt it was like way to waste just because there's no pads on.
Right.
The way he's carrying himself, just practice and he's bobbing his head to the song and waving to the crowd and pumping up the crowd. To me, I fully agree. I Locked On 49ers, I believe it was, Brian Peacock had said that if Solomon Thomas can have 6 sacks, let's just say Solomon Thomas goes out there and has 6-7 sacks. Now, how many sacks do you think Nick Bosa has? How many sacks do you think Dee Ford has? How many sacks do Ronald Blair? Actually, I want to get into this because I know that there's going to be a couple people who will comment on this in the comments. Can we get a pass breakup and damn near almost interception for Ronald Blair on? I want to say it was on Wilson Jr. He was because I was tripping for a second. My mind went a little crazy because I almost thought it was Paris Hilton, just because I'm thinking 98 line, covering a running back. Oh, that's a linebacker. So I was like, Paris Harrelson, and then just kind of like a real quick flashback, and I was like, oh, and I was like, Ronald Blair with the pass breakup. Can we get big shout out to Kello. That was an amazing pick. I know I believe the Niners put it up on their Facebook, probably on their Twitter as well.
Yeah, they did.
The D Now, me and Adam were talking about this in the pre-show meeting. And I'm sorry for the bouncing around on the show. I'll have my notebook tomorrow. I'll physically write notes, and we'll have a lot breakdown better on next week's show and all my training camp lives. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get my notebook, but Ronald Blair was a great play and a killer. I think that the defense clearly won the day. You know, we were talking about that in the pre-show meeting. We kind of expect that. Defense is always ahead of offense, especially with no pads on. You know, right. Defensive linemen are so slippery. Exactly. Because it was clear Jimmy had the quarterbacks, period. The quarterbacks, period, had a lot of pressure in their face. I don't think they threw from one clean pocket today. Damn. I simply don't think they cleaned from one clean pocket. There was a lot of traffic in the backfield on every run play.
I mean, that's awesome to hear, right? I mean, we want the offense, but I think it's more important for the defense actually to get on base. Yeah. We all know Kyle Shanahan will be scheming the boys open and do his thing. I'm not worried about it.
I'm not worried about our offense.
And Dante Pettis said, like, in regards to the interception, it was pretty much Jimmy Garoppolo just essentially just heaving it in there for Dante to kind of make a play. And then that's when Dante Pettis said, like, hey, he trusted me, like, and Jimmy told him pretty much, like, you got to break that up if you're not going to catch it. I truly 100% believe that. If you know you can't catch it, your mind has to initially, obviously, right away switch to being a DB because obviously, your quarterback's trusting you're going to make it play. Like, it's not like, oh, this shit's kind of like, I'm not going to be able to catch this. Like, all right, on to the next play. Hell no. You better make sure you like literally rest them to the ground in the process of things to maybe get that pass breakup because that's the difference between a game won and a game lost, possibly. Let's be honest.
Perfect. Yeah. Two things I seen that I don't want to say concerned about, but I will comment on them because they're out there and they are points. Jimmy's timing's clearly not back. You know, he seemed a bit off today. That's fine. That comes from not having an offensive line and defensive line in front of you for almost 12 months now. So I'm not concerned about Jimmy at all. We'll just
see where his coffee's at tomorrow with the pads on.
Yeah. We'll see better with tomorrow with the pads on. And he was going back to what we got into last week, working after practice with his dropbacks, his timing. He was throwing to Jordan Matthews with all the quarterbacks, but you know he was out there working on his timing, doing sprints. You know he's getting there. And
what do you think about to change the subject up a little bit? You know, my dark horse candidate to possibly steal, and I don't want to put blow this out of proportion, but you know, my dark horse to possibly beat out Mike Person for the right guard job, but damn, he's not off to a good start, dislocating his damn finger in back-to-back days. I hope, obviously, with the pads on tomorrow, you know that shit's gonna be sore. I'm sure they'll just tape whatever finger it is, dislocated, whatever, just tape it up to the other good one. That way, you know, there's it's not freestyling as much or whatever. But man. Guy can't seem to catch a break.
Joshua Garnett.
He's gonna notice him. I'm sorry?
I didn't notice him out there to say good or bad. You know,
right.
I didn't particularly know, okay, let me watch Joshua Garnett on the snap. I would say overall, I would say that clearly, with the amount of pressure that Jimmy and the quarterbacks faced today, the line didn't have a good day. Really, the only person, of course, there were flashes. You know, there were play here, play there, you know, type of thing. But the only person I would say had a good practice on the offensive side of the ball was Trent Taylor. Trent Taylor is definitely back. It was clear watching him today at practice. It was clear that it was his back last year. His back was never fully right. And number 15 now, you know, 81 obviously before, but number 15 now is clearly back. So all our worries about whether, you know, who's going to play the slot. No, I think Trent Taylor's. I want to say he's got it locked down on the second day of camp. You know, I think there'll be some other players that have some say so about that. But we're going to get the best of Trent Taylor. He's clearly back to his 2017 form.
Which leads me to ask, do you think, I mean, it seems like it's almost like screaming for it. We have so much talent that I feel like, are we finally going to see Kyle Shanahan infusing a lot more 4 wide receiver sets? And I know that's a tough one because then it's like, well, what about running backs? What about Kittle? Whatever. I would love to see 4 wide receiver sets, obviously with Trent Taylor being one of those guys. And I could see a scenario where, like, obviously Kittle will be at tight end. Maybe he's flexed out, motions, whatever. But imagine like an empty backfield with Kittle, obviously either at tight end or lined up wide receiver, whatever. But Hurd being one of those wide receivers as well. But then he has the ability to freaking motion in the backfield because obviously he can run the ball as well.
Yeah, well,
Could you see? I mean, it's a pretty interesting wrinkle to think of because then it's like, well, then you're getting your running back and wide receiver at the same time. He's also 6'5", so that's possibly huge and hard to cover, like on a third down. But I would love to see 4 wide receiver sets. Obviously, Kittle still in there as a tight end, whatever. But yeah, Hurd being one of those 4 wide receivers as well.
Or starting in the
backfield, and, doing some jet sweeps and all that kind of stuff. Just pretty much adding some wrinkles in his playbook.
I would be curious to see. I'd be curious. I totally agree with you. I would love that. I'm curious to see, and I think it'll happen as we get closer to. I mean, this is only the second day of camp. I think it'll be a lot as we get closer to actual, preseason games or whatever. I think we're going to see a lot more of things like that, and kind of, hey, do we see 4 receiver sets? Do we see imagine Juice and Jalen Hurd in the backfield together? Yeah. Seeing Juice lead block. I mean, the amount. Big shout out to Juice today, though. He got the crowd fired up today. People. I think the thing I love about being a faithful is you could tell how much we understand football and how much players mean to us. Because I mean, I want to say, obviously, except Sherm and Jimmy and players like that. Juice got a huge juice, and he came out, flexing and stuff like that. But nice. It was really cool to see. Sorry, y'all. As y'all can see, I'm just super excited to have Niner football back in my life. I was just happy to just see footballs in the air and everything. I did not see Wisnowski. I was trying to make a purpose to see him because I want to see what the 4th round player looks like.
The Browns didn't hype it up a little more, Maybe we'll finally get that glimpse tomorrow. Did you happen to get a look at the running backs? I thought that was pretty interesting. Things have been relatively quiet there between obviously Matt Breida and Coleman. Gonna fight for the number 1 spot, but they'll probably be used kind of close as far as attempts and carries and stuff.
I would say every time I looked at the running backs, I want to say it was Breida carrying it the most. I mean, 22 seemed to be the number I noticed running the ball more than anybody. They actually had him doing kick returns too, which I thought was very interesting. It was I didn't see Dante doing kick returns. It was Debo, Richie James took a lot of them. So I think what that tells me is now, second day of camp, obviously, but what that tells me is I think that they're really pretty much going to Richie James saying, look, your best shot as far as making this roster is going to be returner. I honestly think that's what that's telling me. I didn't see him too much at receiver. I saw mostly Dante, Debo, the people that you would expect to see. But I think that tells me that Richie's shot to the
100%
to the roster is returner. Also, what I found interesting was that big shout out to Eric Crocker. He's the one that pointed this out. I didn't notice it, but they switched DJ Reed to corner. He was playing outside.
Oh, okay. He was playing a little outside. I saw Mayoka Reed Reed is back at cornerback. I'm like, what? Were you high? Like, obviously he was, he played pretty damn solid filling in for Quan Williams at the end of the stretch last season.
Yeah. They switched him to outside.
What do you mean he's converting back to cornerback? Obviously, he looked like the free safety experiment was over a long time ago.
But yeah. Well, Saleh said yesterday that, they know that he can play safety, but he sat down with the coaches.
Well,
and
getting suggested there, and they, obviously are giving a little of a shot to Moore, but I think pretty much trying to be nice and say, yeah, he's versatile and in emergency, pretty much low key, he can obviously go back to safety if we need him to.
Yeah, well, yeah. But I think that Travarius Moore is going to stay at safety. I know that you're big he does have the ability to play well at times at corner last year, but I think that whole experiment with him, I shouldn't even say experiment. I think he's going to be safety. The one thing I don't want, and this is what irritates me the most, because I know we love versatility and all that, but let him stick at a freaking spot, please. That's my thing about this. Is honestly, this is why I think's messed up Jimmy Ward, and why the one thing you always hear about Jimmy Ward is he's a jack of all trades, master of none. Now obviously I think his best position is free safety. And the Niners think that too, but and versatility is obviously going to keep you around longer. It's the same. What did John Lynch say about Robbie Gould? You want to make yourself a lot of money and stick around in this league, make yourself irreplaceable. So that's one way of it. But
I just think people are too scarred from Jimmy Ward, obviously bouncing back and forth. I mean, some of it he had to do what's best for the team. Obviously, got kind of started Harbaugh era as a slot, whatever. But let's not forget, like last season, he was essentially kind of forced to move to outside cornerback because he was Richard Sherman insurance in case he wasn't obviously going to be able to be full go. And I just think that shouldn't be used against Tavarius Moore. Once again, it seems like people are already disappointed that they almost feel like Tavarius Moore might not get the best opportunity to win the job, because it sounds like, little whispers that Jimmy Ward might still obviously be the favorite, which is why I was kind of wondering what the hell is going on with Adrian Colbert and Tavarius Moore the last couple of days, because it doesn't seem like they picked up any really noise to put out there. But I just think like people shouldn't be disappointed if they feel. Once again, I made this point. Richard Sherman, obviously the 49, if he doesn't return to great form, he's not a lock to be here next season, in my opinion. I think he's going to have a great year, so it's going to be a little of a moot point. But 49ers can save over $9 million and only have to take on $1 million dead money if he doesn't work out. My point is, though, after the 2020 season, so let's just fast forward to things of 2021. Like Richard Sherman, let's just say he does stick around next season, but Sherman, Akello, Kawhi Williams, all these guys are going to be free agents. What I'm trying to say is, I don't think it's the worst thing ever if Tavarius Moore just has another year marinating at cornerback and he's eventually ready to take over the year after. Obviously, if he balls so hard that he ends up stealing the free safety job, then great. But it seems like people are already disappointed, possibly thinking that he's not going to win the free safety position. But I also think people shouldn't be disappointed and once again, go back and look at his footwork going back to last preseason. They look pretty damn good at cornerback. And are we pretty much saying that we know more than the 49ers if they do feel that it would be best, that he kind of sticks around at cornerback? I'm saying, everyone just kind of wants the shiny new toy, the new starter, you know what I mean? Let somebody else getting an opportunity, and I'm all for it, but don't let Jimmy Ward, scar you from possibly, more, getting more reps eventually. Especially, I think when Jimmy Ward comes back, I wouldn't be surprised once again
Jimmy Ward is the starter.
Majority of his reps at cornerback. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, Jimmy Ward's the starting free safety.
Seems like it.
Yeah. I'll put it to you this way: if you put a gun to Saleh, James Woods, and our famous show saying, put a gun to their head, they're going to tell you they want the starting safeties to be Jaquiski Tartt and Jimmy Ward. Now, whether it works out that way is a different story. I mean,
are they also trying to motivate guys? By saying and kind of like, you know what I mean? Are they also trying to say like, hey, these are the clear front runners? But obviously the race just started. You know what I mean? It's not a freaking sprint of a race. It's training camp is not going to be over in 4 days type of deal. But I think they're trying to say is these are the lead dogs for us right now. But obviously, do you want to be the dog that catches up and eventually passes them? Or do you want, are you just going to sit back and just take it and be like, oh, the race is already over?
Exactly.
I think a lot of
if you're gonna sit there and just I can't win then I don't even want you on the freaking football team, bro. Honestly, I want a football team full of players that believe they're the best at their position. That's what I want. Verrett, I want to touch on this before I forget. I want to touch on this before we get up out of here today. But Verrett looked nice. I mean, in his 7-on-7, he hasn't been cleared for full team yet. I did not see Quan Alexander out there today. I did see him at practice, and everything like that. I saw him warming up, but I didn't see him 7-on-7s. I didn't see him. Now, he might have done 7-on-7s. I don't know. He might have done individual drills.
I saw a video of him doing individual drills with the linebackers.
Okay, but I know for a fact he wasn't out there for team.
Right.
I know he wasn't out there for 11-on-11s.
Right,
but
probably the reason why Dre Greenlaw obviously got more time with the ones
he did,
because Quan obviously is not ready to,
I'll get to Dre to mine. Okay, so we all know Adam's the driver of the KB bandwagon, but your boy right here, I'm the driver of the Dre Greenlaw. But
did you happen to get a look at Kendrick Bourne? Part of me, like I said, hey,
I didn't see anything.
I don't want to be that number one fanboy type of guy either, but man,
there's reasons
I'm not having doubts about Kendrick Bourne making the team. I'm just saying, like we talked about on the guest interaction show, like what if everybody else is balling so good and Jordan Matthews or whatnot? I think I don't know. Like once
there's
again,
ways for KB not to be on this football team.
He won't be cut, but would you be surprised if he ends up being traded? For example, the Broncos, Emmanuel Sanders coming back, and what if obviously they're going to scrimmage, and Elway goes to John Lynch, his boy. Be like, hey man, like I see you guys have a full house at wide receivers. You know what I mean? You're probably not going to be able to have them all make the roster. Then I'm trying to think, what position would you say needs the most? If you had to put a most glaring need on the 49ers, what position would you think that is?
I want more guard. I want more line depth. I'm not
giving somebody else kind of a shot.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know anybody particularly on the Broncos that I would want, or any particular team out there. As anybody who listens to the show, Adam usually does the league. I obviously focus more on the Niners. It's not like I want, KB and a fifth rounder for this player. It's not that case, but I'm just real nervous with Richburg being on the PUP. I'm pretty sure y'all don't know. Just real quick, I guess as a formality, trying to be a show. Jerick McKinnon, Selleck Time, Richburg, and Jimmy Ward all started on the PUP. The closest is McKinnon, then Ward, then Richburg, then Selleck. Selleck's not going to be until after week 6 or 7. It seems to be that my Adams scenario of IR stash seems most possible. Now, what it gets tricky with Selleck is the way it's been explained to me by Matt Mayoko. He said this on a KBR interview, is to make the PUP list out of training camp into the regular season, you have to make the initial 53.
Right.
So that's why I think Selleck Time will be an IR stash. He will not be on the PUP list. So I think that's more the scenario seems to be more clear on what we think is going to happen. He's going to be an IR stash.
I think that means too that Garland is pretty much a low key and automatic lock. I have him on my 53, but him and Mike Person were rotating with the ones at center today. So it seems to me that he's definitely going to be a lock. I ended up putting Justin Skule back on my 53. By the way, I went with 9 offensive linemen. I ended up shaving I pretty much talked about that only one of Julian Taylor or Sheldon Day pretty much are going to make the roster. So I have 9 defensive linemen. So, I have Skule back on because I think you do have to go with 9 offensive linemen. 8 sounds like it's a little thin, especially if you do end up getting a couple nagging injuries. It could be something small, but I think you do have to go with 9 offensive linemen. But they could easily go with 8 maybe. People kind of forget about the practice squad at times. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
Like, let's not forget about the practice squad. I mean, that's an extra, 10 guys, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Exactly. Yeah. I believe it's 10. It's 10.
Let's not act like these guys on the practice squad are bums and they can't be called up to possibly be depth players if you need them to be.
Or maybe even, and see, players can choose whether to sign with the team or come to a practice squad.
Right.
So maybe Justin School's told, hey, look, you're an injury away from being called up.
Yeah.
Maybe, these other, you're injury away. So, hey, you want to come out here or do you want to roll your dice on, playing for Tampa Bay or Chicago?
Especially with Kyle Shanahan being around, as we talked about, you know what I mean? You want to take a little of You maybe might
Kyle
sacrifice some reps
Shanahan.
or being at a certain place on the depth chart. You might sacrifice that once again because you know you'll probably give yourself the best chance to develop under Kyle Shanahan.
Well, that and you'd be a fool to think that Kyle Shanahan's not going to get some players pay. You know that there won't be some teams that will make, for example, maybe a KB. Just to throw KB out, for example, you know that maybe KB gets an extra couple $100,000 because you know he got a little bit more production because he was in a Kyle Shanahan offense. You know, Matt Breida.
To touch subject on that, do you think Kendrick Bourne's a little overrated by the fans?
No, I don't. I think because you know what I think it is about KB is not that he's the most talented. You know, he doesn't ooze. You know, he doesn't look like an alpha dog. He's not Antonio Brown, but you know what I think they love about him? I think they love his swag, and I think they love his effort. And that's what I love most about KB. Like,
which is why I asked, is he a little overrated? Yeah, he puts out Instagram videos and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I also threw this out there. Like, hey, just because people are not putting videos and shit out there doesn't mean they're not going hard and working behind the scenes. In my own personal opinion, I feel like Trent Taylor and Kendrick Bourne are a little overrated by the fans, in my opinion. I'm not saying they don't have talent. I'm just kind of keeping it real a little bit too. Yeah, I think they're a little overrated by the fans. You know, putting the videos and shit out there. I'd like if I'm just.
You know who I think?
Are other teams hyping up their guys? You know, kind of at times. You know what I mean? Being fan favorites, being an undrafted kind of guy, being the shorter white guy. You know what I mean? I'm just being a little real. Like, hey, some of these other guys. You know, once again, don't discount out Richie James and Jordan Matthews because they're not putting videos out all the time and stuff like that. Just saying.
I think that Trent Taylor is a little bit less overrated just because at least you have the elite slant route and you have some solid, you know, more solid evidence with Trent Taylor. You know, now obviously that has a lot to do with Kyle. Okay, so Trent Taylor is a perfect example. Let's say Trent Taylor, you know, he gets out his rookie contract, and you know, is Trent Taylor going to make a couple extra $100,000, maybe even $1 million or $2 million because he was in Kyle Shanahan's offense? Yeah, I believe. Is he as great as he is in any other offense? No. You know what I'm saying? I think he's still a good receiver.
And he's 100% healthy and all that. We saw him healthy. I mean, I put a video like not too long ago of him of a flashback, a little throwback session of when he was at the Senior Bowl on got a bunch of likes actually over it. But I mean, you saw it when he was healthy, exactly what he can do. But I'm just saying, like, this is the NFL, and my point is a lot of wide receivers, obviously, to stay on subject with wide receivers, but there's a lot of talented guys. Like shout out Malik Henry. I thought he looked really good. He was wearing number 7, actually. But I really like kind of what I saw in the videos. You know, I'm comparing guys' footwork and stuff like that. Like I said, I asked if Kendrick Bourne and Trent Taylor possibly overrated a little bit because then I'm thinking of guys like Jalen Hurd, for example, who I really would love to be in there in full wide receiver sets. And obviously look at his skill set. I mean, his footwork, you can say, I think honestly, you can say that arguably his footwork is better than Trent Taylor, for example. Obviously being an running back and all that. And he's also 6'5", that huge catch radius and all that. So I'm just making a point for Jalen Hurd to be in there instead of Trent Taylor pretty much. And I think everyone's automatic. Okay. Mayoko the other day said he expects Trent Taylor to lead the team in receptions.
That's going a little far. That's a little
like, did he throw that out there for the fans once again? Like, I feel like they're trying to purposely hey, this once again, it's a Wes Welker 2.0, and we have Wes Welker now. And I just thought that was crazy. I wouldn't be shocked, but once again, the top 3, I expect the top 3 guys in snaps to be Dante Pettis, Deebo Samuel, Marquise Goodwin. So to say that Trent Taylor possibly getting the number 4 most reps on the team, he's possibly going to lead the team in receptions once again. How often Kyle Shanahan's even going to actually throw out their 4 wide receiver sets, and how much is he going to have Trent Taylor in instead of one of the other 3 guys and 3 wide receiver sets?
Exactly.
I don't know.
Exactly. So we have a question now. Normally we don't do questions on the air, but Kim got this one set out and everything. Do you think Matt Breida is this comes from somebody in the audience. Do you think Matt Breida is overrated?
Not at all.
No, I don't think so either.
Especially on the limited sample side, the guy missed 2 games and left like 3 or 4 early. So the numbers he had 1,075 scrimmage yards. Obviously, he was like, I believe, top tied for number 3. If not, he is the number 3 from last season in terms of yards per carry at 5.3 yards. So, I call him Pac-Man Cheetah now. I'm, try to be a little different, obviously, as well. But, because he just gobbles up them yards, and obviously was a number 1. He had the number 1 mile per hour last season in the entire NFL, ahead of guys like Tyreek Hill and all that. Yeah, to say he's overrated, how? I mean, the guy was undrafted. Are you kidding me? Started literally.
That's what I'm saying. Matt Breida is definitely not overrated. All right, so
I think you can argue. I mean, he definitely gets a lot of hype, obviously, from 49ers Twitter, but I don't think that should be used against him.
Well, see, and what I think with this is obviously, we're gonna love certain players more than other people being fans and everything like that, but the thing that gets me, and we'll go ahead and wrap up on this. The thing that gets me is that with Trent Taylor and Matt Breida, at least our crazy and our love and Cheetah Breida and all that, at least it's backed up by stats. Matt Breida was the NFL leading rusher at one point last year. Matt Breida on outside zones did have something crazy like 8.2 yards a carry. Matt Breida did have the most miles per hour, fastest mile per hour. So there's things that sit there. I think, to me, the reason why I feel is could Kendrick Bourne be replaced? Hell yeah. He could probably he could be replaced this very year. He could be replaced. The thing I love about Kendrick Bourne is that he has heart, he's driven, and he goes up and gets the fucking football. I can't tell you how many times that I scream at my TV or the field or whatever I am when I see people don't attack the ball at its highest point. Jerry, the GOAT, said Bill Walsh taught him, you always attack the ball at its highest point. You always attack the ball at its highest point.
And you got to go towards the ball too. Some people just try to let essentially the ball just go right in their pocket. You know what I mean? Just but you got to run back to the ball, especially you don't just like turn around and just sit there. And sometimes that can be part of the design. But do you want to possibly go and get it yourself, or do you want to give the cornerback an opportunity to possibly jump in front of you? That's where I'm.
Yeah, exactly. Now I will give our receivers credit. They don't do the number one thing I would like to see them do that Jerry did, which is you run to the end zone after every catch. Now I will credit that might be coaches saying, hey, we're trying to get in and get out. We're trying to get to the next play. That could be some of that. I will admit that. But I think the man who has the most touchdowns more than anybody in NFL history, if he ran the ball after every time he caught the ball in practice, and the man has the most touchdowns, I'm doing that too. Now that's just me. But I will give our receivers credit on this. They do run back to the football. I definitely saw that from Dante Pettis. I saw that from Deebo Samuel. I saw that from Kittle Corn. They were running back to the football. So that seems to be the emphasis is, hey, don't sit there and wait for the ball. I think the emphasis on deliberateness, being deliberate, everything we do from warm-ups to individual drills, punt coverage, to everything we do at practice, I felt it was deliberate. I felt it was done with a purpose. And you practice hard, you play hard. And so that's one thing that I really was positive. But before we get out of here today, anything else you want to add, Adam?
I was just thinking to myself a little earlier. I think Jalen Hurd might be the dark horse candidate to be the punt returner. I know that might surprise some people, but once again, we all know Dante Pettis is electric in punt returns. Obviously, the guy has a freaking record for the most touchdowns and all that. But the side out of me, once again, does Shanahan just say all in type of deal, or once again, we all know about the damn injuries that have obviously hurt us the last couple of seasons, and I just still think Pettis is too important. I think Deebo Samuel might be too important. Do they get I think Marquise Goodwin once again is kind of like a sleeper X factor, taking the top off the defense type of guy. So, but I mean, he'd be kind of intriguing to be working on punt. I don't see why he couldn't do it, but I think Jalen Hurd might be that guy where you could be like, you know what, we can possibly put him at risk essentially a little bit to possibly, get hurt essentially at punt returns. I think he's the guy that's super dynamic. And let's just say he does get a little knacking injury from punt returns. You say, obviously, at least we still have all our other guys at wide receiver, so it doesn't really hurt our offense as much, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no. I agree with you. I don't want Dante or Debo. I think in a perfect world, I don't want Debo or Dante. I mean, look how Dante hurt his knee the first time was on a punt return. So I don't want to see Dante Pettis and Debo Samuel back there.
And Marquise Goodwin's really important. Once again, not just in 3 wide receiver sets. Sorry to cut you off there. I think it's really important because if something happens to Samuel or Pettis, you still have like 2. Yeah, I don't want to like over exaggerate. You still have 2 great wide receivers still available. You know what I mean? Like that are capable of starting. Exactly. So that's why I almost don't want to sacrifice any of those 3 guys on special teams. That is. So I can see Jalen Hurd being a punt returner, kick returner. I mean, well, there's a lot of guys that can kick return. Once again, too, Jerry McKinnon. I think it wouldn't be that smart with him coming off of injury, obviously, to put him on special teams. But at the end of the day, he's a number 3 running back. So do we really give a shit if he doesn't get hurt again? I hate to be so cutthroat about it. But you kind of get what I'm saying. Also, making a case. Why couldn't he work on punt returns or kick returns or whatever?
Don't forget about DJ Jones. Or DJ Jones. DJ Reed. Sorry, DJ Jones. Yeah, put the big boy back there to return punts. Let the big boy start to rumble. Sorry, I was thinking DJ Jones because I saw him on punt coverage.
I'm definitely not speaking on DJ Reed, but essentially I'm going with the faster guy on kick returns, somebody like Richie James, and on punt returns, like I said, I think the perfect skill set of speed and break tackle ability. Obviously, he's big. And obviously he's super shifty too. So I think don't sleep on Jalen Hurd at punt returns. And yeah, I'm definitely not sleeping on DJ Reed. He's gonna have to contribute wherever possible. Once again, this is something we got to talk about. I wouldn't be surprised. Once again, I'm throwing that out there, and I'm not trying to be the guy that's cool going against the grain just because. But do you think it maybe would be possibly smart for Jason Verrett to start out week 1 and only in pure pass downs, and have good? Once again, I keep telling people don't be. But Keller Witherspoon's that got that corner and 2 cornerback sets opposite of Richard Sherman. But what does that mean for then guys like Quan Williams in 3 wide receiver sets? If Jason Verrett only starts out as pretty much as a nickel cornerback only, and then what does that mean for a guy like DJ Reed? You know what I mean? Is he pretty much just shit out of luck? And you know what I mean? Even against 4 wide receiver sets, I think the best 4 cornerbacks you like to think. Sherm,
there's going to be some people on this. I mean, there's going to be some people on this football team that are good football players. It's just going to be sorry there's somebody better ahead of you. Do
you think there's a chance Quan Williams can be traded if it kind of goes like that, where Jason Verrett just starts out as essentially as a slot cornerback?
I do. I think what they're going to do is because K1 is free agent after next season, right? Next season would be his last year, so he's got 2 more years on his contract.
Yeah. Including this year, yes.
I'll put you this way: DJ Reed's a 3rd-round pick. Quan Williams is a free agent. So, are you getting rid of a 3rd-round pick, or are you getting rid of a free agent?
5th-round pick.
Oh, 5th-round pick. Sorry, yeah.
5th-round pick. But still, what it comes down to is
Tello being the 3rd round.
If it really comes down to it, is DJ Reed almost as good, if not possibly even better, compared to Quan Williams, which that might be a little stretch, but I'm saying if it's kind of close. Then you trust DJ Reed to be essentially your 2nd slot cornerback, your dime cornerback, as they call it, against 4 wide receiver sets. If he's right there with Quan Williams, I wouldn't say once again Quan Williams would be an absolute lock. In my opinion, though, I think this is the year that the 49ers are going to have maximum insurance. So I definitely expect Quan Williams to make the team, in my opinion. But I'm just saying, what does that mean though for guys in the reps? You know what I mean? Who comes off the field and who might be shit out of luck because the other guys are just better.
Well, also that, and I'll put it to you this way. If anything happens to Verrett, knock on wood, I'm perfectly okay with Quan Williams being the first one that comes off the bench. Just like how we said, if they end up, Verrett doesn't end up moving into corner or into nickel or the slot, like we think he should, because that creates our best secondary in nickel.
Well, even if he's the number 2 cornerback or not, I still expect them in nickel. Or probably, that's one of the huge bonuses. On 3rd down, you cover that slot money guy. You know what I mean? Taking away the possibility of a first down. once again, we talk about it. Chris Harris does pretty much the same thing for the Broncos. And so even if he starts outside and not or base, I still possibly see him being the slot cornerback in 3 wide receiver sets. But who knows?
All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. Before we get out of here today, and we do our normal spiel, I want to remind everybody, starting tomorrow, we're going to be going live. I haven't figured out the time yet because it's not like these practices have a whole line number and the over. They're kind of just, people always stick around for autographs. It's like that. I am going to be trying to get some autographs just because, autographs are good to give away for giveaways. Who doesn't want? Yeah, well, who doesn't? It's a free autograph. Like, who the hell doesn't want a free autograph?
Another thing, I'm surprised. Last year, the 49ers were doing a live stream of some of the practices, and they're not doing that this year. I don't know. Is this because,
they did it yesterday?
Not because Joe Fan is gone, but I'm a little let down. That was like one of the coolest things. Be able to seeing the live stream practice. You know what I mean? Essentially acting like you're there.
Yeah, I know they did it yesterday because I watched it yesterday. I haven't seen anything.
Oh, they did do something yesterday?
Yeah, they did it yesterday. I watched it. They had Greg Papa on. So I know that they're going to be doing it tomorrow too, because I know they said they'll be back for the first day.
Yeah, Keanu Martin said that that John Lynch will be on tomorrow. So I hope it's like, hey, that's bullshit with John Lynch. The cameras are on the field and he's talking about guys and shit like that.
Yeah, that's probably what they're going to end up doing. But we will be joining if they don't. They don't, tune into our draft day recap show, I think is what I ended up calling it. I can't remember. But it'll be directly uploaded to live because we have without 1,000 subscribers. So please make sure to check those out. I will be doing those daily after every training camp practice up until the August 8th will be the last practice I attend. And then on Mondays, we'll just our normal format for Niner Faithful Radio. But so it'll be Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. We will be going live after every training camp practice this week. Go ahead and shop Niner Faithful Radio Shop for efficient licensed gear from Shop 49ers, NFL Shop, Fanatics, Target, eBay, Amazon, and more. Visit NinerFaithfulRadio.com/shop or like us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Use the promo code Niner Faithful Radio, all one word. Oh, wrong one. My bad. Shop our Patreon rewards program for as little as $1 a month. You can get special perks like 10% off of Niner Faithful Radio shops and invite to join Adam in a segment of Niner Faithful Radio and much more. Go ahead and visit patreon.com/Niner Faithful Radio. Go to SeatGiant.com, use the promo code Niner Faithful Radio, all one word, and save on all theater, concert, and sporting event tickets, as well as help out the show. Niner Faithful Radio is on YouTube, as y'all obviously see. We're trying to monetize our channel. So to help out, we decided to give one lucky contest winner a chance to win a ticket to a game, an invite to the tailgate at Empire Row, and ticket to the Niner Museum at Levi Stadium. To win, all you have to do is subscribe, and the winner will be announced as soon as we hit 4,200 watch minutes and 1,200 subscribers. Come join Adam and I on our fan interaction Tuesday on Castbox. The link for our show this week's show is in the link description of the show, and it will be available on the show notes for the podcast. We go on at 5 p.m. and usually stay on for about 45 minutes to an hour. Just going ahead and taking everybody's comments, questions, and concerns. Participate in our weekly poll for prizes. Each week on Facebook and Twitter, we have weekly poll questions, and all you have to do to win is vote. Visit us on Facebook and Twitter for more details. Visit faithfulradio.com, read all our Niners and Sports Elite, get all the show notes, and view all our sponsorship and advertising packages. That website again is NinerFaithfulRadio.com. If you're listening to us on a podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play Music, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spreaker, Blueberry, or TuneIn, please subscribe and give us a review. It really helps out the show. If you're watching on YouTube, Make sure to hit that subscribe button and hit the bell button so you don't miss a single video, as we're going to be having videos coming out all week. Anything else you want to say, Adam?
Sounded like you said you're telling us there's a chance. That's all I wanted to say. There's a chance we could win some prizes, and you said go to a game, right? So sounds pretty damn good. All we want is a chance at.
Oh, yep, that's all you need. So you tell me there's a chance? All right, well, go ahead and follow Adam on Twitter at 49ers Insiders. Go ahead and follow the show on Twitter at NinerFaithfulR, on Facebook and Instagram at Niner Faithful Radio. For Adam P., super duper moderator Kim, I'm Niner Faithful Radio. Thanking you for tuning into this week's episode. We shall see y'all on the show, same bat time, same bat channel next week. Till then, till tomorrow, we shall see y'all then. Faith, love, and happiness. Go Niners. All right, brother. We'll see you next week.
All right. God bless Kiara Mia.
Yep.
All right. See you guys.